Forget everything you know about dangerous waters. The oceans of ancient Earth make today's deadliest predators look like goldfish in a bowl. Picture a world where colossal pliosaurs, armed with bone-crushing jaws, ruled supreme. Where sea scorpions larger than humans skittered across the seafloor, and megalodons, the size of school buses, hunted with impunity. Yet these terrors pale in comparison to the horrors lurking in the late Cretaceous. Enter the Western Interior Seaway, Hell's Aquarium. This prehistoric nightmare spawned creatures so alien, so frightening, they've remained hidden from public knowledge, until now. Prepare to plunge into Earth's most lethal waters, where chaos knew no limits and survival was a miracle, not a guarantee. Are you ready to face the extreme? If you reside in the United States, Mexico, or Canada, there's a strong possibility you've walked across what remains of this ancient shallow ocean or inland sea, even though you may not have heard of it. It split these nations when it filled with water, thus creating a line that cut through the majority of North America. In the process, it formed the now extinct island continents of Appalachia to the east and Laramidia to the west. From the early Cretaceous epoch, 100 million years ago, until the earliest Paleocene epoch, 66 million years ago, this state continued to exist for around 34 million years. According to few studies, the Western Interior Seaway was a warm, tropical body of water at that time, measuring over 2,000 miles or 3,200 kilometers in length, and 600 miles or 970 kilometers at its widest point. It was surprisingly shallow for such a large area. With an average depth of about 50 meters or 150 feet, its lowest point was probably only 900 meters or 3,000 feet deep. Even though the Hell's Aquarium was relatively tiny, it was packed with an absurd number of terrifying predators, often larger or more terrifying than any of the land-dwelling dinosaurs. Terrifying predators already inhabited the beaches and shallow reefs of the ancient Western Interior Seaway, but the deeper seas harbored their own set of horrors, including some very strange cephalopods. Though they resembled modern cephalopods, the Cretaceous period cephalopods were much more dangerous in their deeper, open-water environments. Even though they were not as large or frightening as some mainstream prehistoric giants such as Thalassaurus, Tyrannosaurus, or Triceratops, these cephalopods were nonetheless extremely dangerous predators, comparable in size to the enormous and giant squids of today. Among these fearsome cephalopods, Tussotuthis and Enchoteuthis, two extinct members of the Muensterellidae family, were two of the most well-known ancient cephalopods. Paleontologists frequently argue whether a specimen belongs to one of these two sea monsters because of how similar they were. The Enchoteuthis were ancient octopus relatives from the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods. They belonged to the family Muensterellidae and the superfamily Muensterelloidea. These fascinating creatures are important for understanding the prehistoric conditions of octopuses. However, because scientists only have some of their internal shells, known as gladii, much about their appearance and lifestyle remains unknown. All that is certain is that they looked big, scary, and active. These cephalopods looked like short, thick squids, but were actually more closely related to octopuses. When they were young, Tussotuthis and Enchoteuthis were small and often eaten by other sea animals. But they changed swiftly, expanding quickly and displaying a great variety of sizes, with some reaching up to 3 meters or 10 feet long while others stayed as small as an arm. Once they got bigger, they became hunters themselves, catching prey like young plesiosaurs and mosasaurs, using their tentacles covered with suckers, just like modern octopuses. They could move quickly through the water using jet propulsion and might have used ink to escape from danger. However, their bodies were mostly soft, which made them vulnerable without an exoskeleton for protection. On the contrary, Prehistoric, a different kind of cephalopod, found a way around the issue of protecting its soft body. This creature was part of the ammonite family, known for their spiral shells made of calcium carbonate, similar to snail shells. These shells provided excellent protection. Prehistoric was the largest ammonite and the biggest cephalopod ever discovered, even larger than today's giant squids. Some Prehistoric shells were as big as 3 meters or 11 feet in diameter, and the creature itself could weigh over 1.5 tons or 1,500 kilograms. If you removed the shell, its body could stretch up to 18 meters or 60 feet long, which is roughly twice the length of a whale shark, making it the heaviest known invertebrate. Nevertheless, as all ammonites are now extinct, little is known about its daily existence. Although they mainly resided in the upper water layers and hardly descended below 250 meters or 800 feet, we do know that Prehistoric was present throughout the western interior seaway. These creatures weren't living deep into the sea like Architeuthis or modern-day giant squid, and might have been skilled at catching fish, crustaceans, and even sea turtles. However, Prehistoric wasn't the only giant predator in the western interior seaway that will blow your mind with its gigantic size. Believe it or not, some predators were so colossal that they actually hunted and ate Prehistoric for dinner, including the biggest crocodilian ever found. Yes, you heard that right. This crocodilian had the most powerful jaws ever. Deinosuchus is an extinct genus of alligatoroid crocodilian, lived in the western interior seaway, and was one of the toughest predators from the ancient waters. Scientists are still figuring out exactly where Deinosuchus lived, but it seems to have roamed the bays, estuaries, and beaches of the seaway, sometimes even swimming into deeper waters. Fossils of this creature have been found in both the eastern and western parts of the seaway, and its size changed a lot depending on where it lived. However, scientists think Deinosuchus may have lived for up to 50 years, developing at a rate comparable to that of contemporary crocodilians, but sustaining this growth over a far longer period of time. While Deinosuchus reached an astounding length of 12 meters or 39 feet in the west, it was less common in the eastern half of the species. Interestingly, the size down scaled significantly in the east. Deinosuchus was extraordinarily robust, although being smaller than the largest mosasaurs. According to estimates, it might weigh up to 8.5 tons or 8,500 kilograms, making it a potential heavyweight contender in its own category. It is not only its weight, but also its size that fascinate paleontologists. In 1954, the initial estimate for the type specimen of the then-named Phobosuchus riograndensis was based on a skull measuring 1.5 meters or 4.9 feet and a lower jaw of 1.8 meters or 5.9 feet. Using proportions similar to the Cuban crocodile, scientists estimated its total length to be 15 meters or 49 feet. Now, Deinosuchus was colossal for sure, but its bite is what actually sets it apart. Its large, alligator-like cranium and powerful jaw muscles enabled it to produce a biting force estimated at more than 100,000 newtons, 5 times the force required to smash a vehicle, and 3 times that of a T-Rex bite. This incredible power was centered in its strong teeth, which were sharper in the front for slicing and blunter in the back for crushing. This powerful bite likely allowed it to crush prey rather than simply tear it apart. Unlike most crocodilians, Deinosuchus had heavy osteoderms, which are bone plates buried in the skin. Paleontologists initially mistook these osteoderms for ankylosaurus armor because of their size. The plates covered the adult Deinosuchus's back and were hemispherical, offering both armor and muscular attachment points to help its ability to walk on land. Deinosuchus probably occasionally ate ornithopods. This massive crocodile is generally believed to have used hunting tactics similar to those of modern crocodilians. It likely ambushed dinosaurs and other animals at the water's edge, then dragged them into the water to drown them. Just like today's crocodiles, Deinosuchus was a master of stealth and surprise. Adding to its frightening reputation, a 2014 study suggested that Deinosuchus could perform a death roll, much like modern crocodiles. This brutal maneuver involves spinning the body rapidly to tear apart prey. It's like being thrown into a meat grinder, where the predator's massive jaws and relentless spinning tear through flesh and bone with nightmarish efficiency, making it even more dangerous and efficient as a predator. It's possible that the larger, less frequent Deinosuchus species were even more skilled hunters, specializing in pursuing and killing enormous dinosaurs. Renowned paleontologist David Schwimmer noted that no theropod dinosaurs in Deinosuchus's eastern range were as large as this giant crocodilian, suggesting that Deinosuchus could have been the apex predator in that region. It seems that Deinosuchus might have had the upper hand as the top predator in its territory, but the competition in the waters wasn't far behind. Ever seen Jaws and wondered if such frightening sharks actually ever existed? These Cretaceous sharks, like many others, appear to have exhibited a touch of gigantism, as a few varieties discovered in this water were among the largest known sharks. They may not have been the genuine monarchs of the period, but they were nonetheless quite successful, acting as both scavengers and active predators, as well as being one of the most prevalent carnivores. Although unlike Deinosuchus, size did not always mean sharks made the waters deadlier, since the largest of them all, the Tychodus, was actually pretty harmless. Unlike the gigantic filter-feeding whale sharks and basking sharks, which use gill rakers to scoop up their food, Tychidus had a different approach. This ancient shark had an impressive set of crushing plate teeth. A Tychidus jaw was packed with teeth, up to 550 of them. There were 220 teeth on the lower jaw and 260 on the upper jaw. These teeth were enormous too. Paleontologists believe that the largest tooth plate measured a whopping 55 centimeters and 45 centimeters wide. The tooth extrapolation indicates that it could grow to be up to 10 meters. While a length of 10 meters is still plausible, more investigation is required to accurately know the measurement of this ancient giant. But not every shark was as gentle as the Tychidus. When you look at the slightly smaller but significantly more violent Cretaceous, also known as the Ginsu shark, you see a predator with the ferocity of today's great white. This mackerel shark was very similar to the great white, but with its own devastating twist. Other gigantic marine predators that the Cretaceous preyed on were sharks, mosasaurs, and perhaps plesiosaurs. Its diet of big predators and fast speed make it a scary presence in the sea. Despite being up to 8 meters or 26 feet long and weighing over 5 tons, its sophisticated fin structure and streamlined scales allowed it to attain speeds of 70 kilometers per hour. Its teeth were razor-sharp and extremely strong, capable of causing severe harm. Fossil evidence even suggests that this shark was an apex predator at the time, capable of biting through dinosaur bones. But the terror did not stop there. The smaller Squalicorax, or crow shark, contributed to the ocean's terror. It was 2 to 5 meters or 6 to 16 feet long, had a comparable physique to the tiger shark, and was just as formidable. Its serrated teeth were ideal for cutting through tough flesh, and its diet consisted of smaller marine species and scavenged remains, including those of dinosaurs. The crow shark was also known to assault enormous pterosaurs, demonstrating its sharp hunting abilities. In addition, it excelled at fishing, with many specimens discovered to have significant amounts of fish in their stomach. These predators in ancient oceans made every plunge into the water a potentially fatal encounter. Being one of the most terrifying predators of all mentioned above, the mosasaurs were a genus of prehistoric aquatic reptiles with gigantic body forms comparable to monitor lizards. Mosasaurs, unlike their counterparts, possessed 4 paddle-like flippers instead of limbs, and their bodies were elongated and streamlined to maximize speed and efficiency in the water. Depending on the species, they swam like eels in an undulating manner or like sharks in enormous tail flukes, propelling themselves at startling speeds. These muscular swimmers controlled the western interior seaway, often serving as the top predators. They had highly tailored teeth that were big, pointed, and occasionally serrated. Their success resulted in a remarkable level of variety, with over 10 taxa coexisting and lengths ranging from 2 meters or 6.5 feet to maybe 18 meters or 59 feet. However, if you came across a mosasaur, it was most likely one of 3 types: Platycarpus, Cleidasts, or Tylosaurus, which were the most common in the seaway. Cleidastes, the smallest, grew up to 6.2 meters or 20 feet, which is comparable to the greatest great white shark. This nimble hunter, with its silky teeth, collected fish and invertebrates in the shallow areas of the seaway and may probably migrate into fresh water. The Platycarpus was slightly larger at 7 meters or 24 feet and weighed around a ton, comparable to a massive Nile crocodile. Despite its delicate teeth, which indicated a diet of smaller fish and squid, it remained a strong presence in deeper seas. The Tylosaurus was the true seaside giant. It was one of the world's largest mosasaurs, measuring between 12 and 15.8 meters or 39 and 52 feet in length, and similar in size to a humpback whale. Tylosaurus had up to 32 huge, thick, recurved and serrated teeth, ideal for tearing through enormous prey. This apex predator preyed on a diverse range of creatures, including bony fish, sharks, plesiosaurs, turtles, birds, and even other mosasaurs. It had a long snout equipped with a sturdy knob and shock-absorbing features that served as a built-in ram for pounding victims. Even the rare Mosasaurus, which could grow up to 17.1 meters or 56 feet and weigh more than 10 tons, couldn't escape the Tylosaurus's wrath. Mosasaurus possessed a devastating bite, with massive teeth suited for slashing and grasping. Its formidable bite force, estimated at 71,000 newton or 16,000 pounds per square inch, was 4 times that of a saltwater crocodile's. This created Mosasaurus, another apex predator in the seaway, with a diversified diet and ambush hunting techniques. Its strong binocular eyesight enabled it to detect prey in muddy waters, unlike sharks, who relied on their sense of smell. Prognathodon, another massive Mosasaurus, slightly smaller than some of the largest Mosasaurus species, prowled these waters with a vicious bite. It had commendable jaws with the largest known skull exceeding 1.4 meters, or 4.6 feet in length. These terrible species transformed the western interior seaway into a site filled with nightmare predators, earning it the nickname Hell's Aquarium. One other remarkable creature of the late Cretaceous, known for its unique adaptations, sets itself apart from other mosasaurs. Unlike its relatives, which had sharp teeth for grasping and tearing, Globidens sported rounded, globe-like teeth. This special feature was perfect for crushing the hard shells of prey, such as turtles and ammonites. With its robust and streamlined body, Globidens navigated the warm, shallow seas with ease, using its powerful jaws to tackle armored prey that other predators might shy away from. This mosasaur's distinctive teeth made it particularly suited for a diet of hard-shelled mollusks and crustaceans. Fossil evidence supports this, revealing crushed shells of clams in its stomach contents, hinting at its preference for tough shell-covered meals. In contrast to the sharper-toothed mosasaurs that dominated the food chain by preying on more agile or slippery targets, Globidens' teeth were optimized for a different kind of hunt. In terms of size, Globidens was a medium-sized mosasaur, reaching about 5 to 6 meters or 16 to 20 feet long. While it wasn't as massive as some of its contemporaries, like Mosasaurus, its robust build and powerful jaws made it a significant predator in its own right. For those fascinated by prehistoric creatures or curious about encountering one, the Globidens was a truly intimidating sight. With its streamlined reptilian body, flippers, and powerful jaws, it had a cold, predatory look, unlike the previously mentioned creatures. So, while Globidens might not have been the largest or most fearsome mosasaur, it was certainly a notable and specialized predator in the late Cretaceous seas. Interestingly, while Globidens thrived in various regions, including parts of North America and northern Africa, it was the specialized nature of its diet that set it apart in its ecosystem. This specialization suggests that Globidens was not just another mosasaur, but a unique predator with a crucial role in its marine environment. If encountering Globidens sounds terrifying, imagine the absolute horror of facing a plesiosaur. This is absolutely the last non-shark fish you'd ever want to encounter. Known for their menacing presence, plesiosaurs were iconic predators of the ancient seas. Like mosasaurs, they had 4 flippers. But that's where the similarities ended. Plesiosaurs possessed large, flat bodies, short, weak tails, and, in some cases, absurdly long necks, resulting in the highest neck-to-body ratio of any reptile ever recorded. They swam by, flapping their flippers in a flying fashion, and preferred shallower waters. The western interior seaway was home to a variety of plesiosaurs, primarily plesiosauroids, although there were also a few polycotyledonid species. Some of these creatures got rather big, measuring more than 5 meters or 15 feet from head to tail. Elasmosaurus and Albertonectes were the longest, reaching lengths of around 11.6 meters or 38 feet. Elasmosaurus even had the most vertebrae of any known animal, which is an impressive feat. Despite their amazing lengths and intimidating appearances, these long-necked reptiles did not have ravenous diets. Their short mouths and necks made them well-suited to eating on small animals. It is thought that they used their long necks to deceive small creatures like fish by approaching them with their mouths while concealing their enormous bodies, enabling for ambush hunting. Their unusual method may have even misled fish into believing they were fellow fish. When they struck, their true nature was exposed. Plesiosauroids' teeth were angled to form a natural fish trap once their lips closed. Aside from fish, they probably hunted snails, clams, and other small invertebrates. While not apex predators, these plesiosaurs were extremely skilled and successful hunters, as indicated by their wide range. They had a tremendous impact on the western interior seaway ecosystem, adding to the rich and deadly fabric of this prehistoric maritime environment. It's both fascinating and unnerving to imagine the colossal, formidable creatures that once roamed the earth and swam through its ancient seas. The sheer scale of these animals often stands in stark contrast to their modern relatives, making their size all the more striking. One key factor behind their impressive size was the climate of their time. During the late Cretaceous era, when these giants thrived, the planet was much warmer than it is today. CO2 levels were over 4 times higher, creating a lush and verdant world. This abundant plant life supported massive herbivorous dinosaurs, providing them with a steady and plentiful food source that contributed to their enormous growth. Larger bodies were not only advantageous for consuming vast amounts of vegetation, but also offered better protection against the many predators of the time. Even the sea levels were 170 meters or 550 feet higher in the late Cretaceous period than today, giving more space for all the giants. Without a doubt, the ocean of the late Cretaceous was truly a realm of nightmares with monstrous creatures that dominated the seas in ways we can hardly imagine today. But if you think the ocean was bad, just wait until you hear about the creatures that roamed Earth during this infamous period in our next video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.